Hey everybody, welcome to another Pro Acoustics Tech Talk. I'm Nathan, and today we're going to be talking all about how to set up an audio system for your office. So adding audio to your office can kind of help to improve the overall ambiance of the space, improve the aesthetic of what you have going on, and can also help to improve worker happiness and productivity. So it doesn't have to be as difficult as a lot of people think. These are pretty DIY solutions we can do by adding a 70-volt system to your office. We just kind of need to think through exactly what we want to have going on, how we want it to be set up, what we need it to include to meet your needs. So this can take many forms. I've done sales offices that like to play top 40 music to kind of pump people up, or sometimes we need a little quieter, elevator or Muzak type music, to kind of just help fill some of the silence and emptiness of the space. So regardless of whether we want light background music or something more rocking, we first need to analyze the layout of the space. Depending on your ceiling height, a ceiling speaker is going to cover a different amount of space. So this applies either to like a hanging type speaker like our PD6 or even an in-ceiling speaker like a Pure Resonance Audio C3. We may also need to kind of consider some surface mount speakers depending on what your ceiling configuration looks like as kind of a way to understand the best way to cover the individual areas. So depending on your ceiling height, a speaker may cover a wider or smaller area as it gets closer to the ground. Think about a flashlight. Take your flashlight, shine it on your hand. As it gets closer, shows a small circle, back it away, shows a wider area. Same basic concept with the speaker. So the lower the ceiling is, closer it is to the hand, the more speakers we need to cover the space. So that kind of helps visualize what we're talking about here. So depending on the ceiling height, we can then come up with the square footage we need for each speaker. So smaller speakers, we generally need more of them, but that means that we can kind of pinpoint where the sound is going to be. So one speaker isn't expected to cover a massively wide area. So we do have options for wireless speakers. We can do that, but we always kind of recommend wired speakers because there are issues with wireless sometimes that we've covered in another Tech Talk video that you might want to take a look at. So we also need to kind of pay attention to speaker placement. Here behind me, I've got a hypothetical office to kind of go about showing us what we have here. So let's say, we've got our entry here. This is where our receptionist is. Guests come in, maybe walk in, sit down on a couch or something. Right off the bat, maybe we want a speaker in here. So let's add a speaker in that space to kind of enhance the ambiance for our visitors. But let's say we also need to make sure and have some speakers for our open sales floor over here. So depending on the ceiling height, let's say that the coverage is about this much per space. So we add a couple in-ceiling speakers here. Once again, these could be hanging pendant speakers if you got an open ceiling, or we could even do wall mount speakers against the walls if you don't have anything in your ceiling. So we also can kind of think through, maybe we want to add some speakers in the conference room just for a little bit of background music and ambiance. We can do that. But maybe in our conference room we decide we don't always want sound in there. Sometimes we need to shut it off in case we got a client coming in that's a little bit softer spoken. We can add individual in-wall or in-rack volume controls in that space. So I'm going to add myself a little volume control over here so we can shut off these speakers. So while we're thinking through these kinds of needs, maybe we also start to notice maybe the boss man wants to listen to a totally separate music source than these other areas. So in that case, maybe we need to have a different zone in this space for his speaker. So his speaker will be an open circle to represent a different type of zone. So we can do anything along those lines. We have multi-zone mixer amplifiers that will give us multiple sources to allow us to play multiple music in different areas. We also have the ability to add these in-wall volume controls like you see here to adjust volume in the different spaces. We can make any of those changes that we might need or customizations for your particular area. We may also find that we want to add push-to-talk microphones. Say that the receptionist up here needs to be able to page the sales team so they can walk out and talk to a customer. We can put a little microphone on her desk, represented by a triangle there. So We can do anything along these lines. We can add a wireless microphone to reinforce the ceiling speakers as well. Obviously, we'd have more speakers in this space to cover, you know, the break room, as well as the other private offices, as well as, you know, this space here. These are just estimates of speaker locations, guys, by the way. But this basic concept kind of helps us to look through and see what does an average office look like along these lines. So as mentioned, let us know if we can help design a system for you. It can be a multi-zone system, it can be a background music system, it can be a foreground level system, it can be foreground along with background, with or without paging, with or without phone paging even if needed. So if we can help with anything along these lines, feel free to reach out to us, www.proacousticsusa.com. Give us a call, 888-256-4112. Drop us a like down below if you like what I had to say here today. Leave us a comment if we can help with anything else. And we look forward to the next one, guys. I'm Nathan. Take care.